Hey there guys, if you would like to make a fun shreddable toy for your bird, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to put together this wonderful toy, but I'm also going to be talking to you guys about how to theme your toys out for the holidays, because that is one of the things that makes it a lot more fun for us as well. So if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, make sure to stick around, because that's going to be coming up right after this. Hey there guys, this is Jack over at Hi Red Bird, where I am tirelessly working to find new ways to make the keeping of exotic animals and pets more exciting, more affordable, and ultimately more enjoyable. And in today's video, I wanted to show you guys how to put together a really nice shreddable toy. For a lot of our birds, they like having something to do that involves shredding and destruction. So a toy like this is a great option for them. Now you do have a lot of different options in terms of how you're going to put this together. You can determine how long you want it to be. You can see on this one, I went for about 6 inches, but you could make it longer. You could make 1/2 the size and your bird would still enjoy it. I definitely encourage you guys to try this out. It's a whole lot of fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial on how we're going to put this together. All right, guys. Now, I told you this would be a pretty simple and straightforward toy, and it's going to be, but I do want to point out that you need to make sure that the toy parts that you are using are appropriate for your bird. Now, I'm going to give you some ideas for things that I'm going to use in this example, but you may need to scale them up. I am building this for a very small bird that doesn't have much destructive potential. Just remember that it is always up to you to use the appropriate size and durability of toy parts as needed for your bird. Now, a couple of tools we're going to be needing for this. We are going to be using just a pair of scissors and a hole punch. That's going to be what we use to start off. We are going to need some sort of frame to build this toy off of. Now, you could use something like a piece of bird-safe rope, a bird-safe chain, or even a stainless steel skewer or kebab. But in this instance, I am going to be using a green shoelace. Shoelaces are used a lot of times for small birds, and most small birds don't have an issue with them, but if it is something you have never given your bird before, make sure that you supervise them. One thing I will say for the safety of the shoelace, if you avoid the braided shoelaces, you're going to have much fewer places where toenails can get caught. As you can see, this is one solid piece. So that's going to be a much safer option. Now, since this is a shreddable toy, believe it or not, you are going to need something to shred. So in this instance, I'm going to be using some colored cardstock. Now, I gave you guys in my Dollar Store toy parts video a couple different ideas for things that you can use as toy parts. And there are a lot of shreddable options. You could use something like paper cupcake liners. You could use coffee filters. You could use index cards. The options really are pretty extensive. So if you guys have a favorite item that you like to use for shreddable toys, if you would go ahead and leave that in a comment down below, that way everyone else who's watching this video will be able to see that and get new ideas. Now, we are also going to be using some pony beads. Now, the reason we're using these is twofold. It gives us the ability to not have to use as much of the shreddable material, because otherwise we would be doing a lot more work in terms of getting everything ready for this. And it also makes it so that it is easier for your bird to get a hold of the pieces to tear apart. So obviously, if your bird is very accomplished at that, you may want to use fewer beads, or you may want to avoid them altogether. And the only last thing we are going to need is going to be a stainless steel quick link. With just these items, we can go ahead and put together an amazing super shredder Christmas toy. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and, if you're using cardstock, cut it down into, if you start with strips, just cut right down there. There is not an exact measurement that you need. You just want them to be vaguely square or even in size or shape. As you can see, I am not measuring it, I am eyeballing it. Those are roughly going to work. Now all you're going to do is you're going to take your hole punch and you're just going to go ahead and get a good punch. Now, it doesn't need to be centered by any means, but what you do want to avoid, you can see the hole punch will only go in so far, and that's fine. That's still going to give me a good bite on that paper, that the bird can't just rip this off completely. You're not going to want to do a punch like right in the corner or right up along a side, because if I did a punch there, that's next to nothing holding that piece on. That bird will probably just grab this, pull, and the entire thing will come apart. So you want to make sure that you are able to give those pieces a good amount of bite. Now, if you have the magic of television on your side, as I am hoping I do, then you can just turn around and you will instantly have a selection of those done. And if you guys want to see even more magic, you can take another piece of paper, do it again, and somehow or other we have changed color. So that is how magic works. At least that's what I'm going to go with. So we have some Christmas colors that we are going to be working with. So we are going to be using our beads, we are going to be using our shoelace, and our stainless steel quick link to put this together. All right, now the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your shoelace and you are going to want to go ahead and give it a loop with a good solid knot. I did 2 square knots here. I pulled it about as tight as it could go because I don't want a bird to be able to take this apart. And then I just went ahead and trimmed off that excess. So I do have a good spot right here where I can then attach my quick link, and this is how that toy is going to be hanging. So you can see we have quite a bit of slack. We are not going to be using all of this, but if you had a very tall enclosure and it was safe for your bird, obviously you could. But all we are going to do is we're going to take the end of our shoelace and we are just going to start alternating cardstock and beads, cardstock and beads, and we are going to do this the entire way down. Now I'm going to be utilizing a pattern to my cardstock, but you could do this all one color. You could do this in random. You could basically have whatever colors you pick up be the color that's going to go next. And you can do probably about 5 or 6 pieces of cardstock before you then take everything and slide it down to the end. If you try to do that all at once every single time, you're going to drive yourself insane. But if you do a good chunk like this, we can go ahead and do quite a bit because we just want to keep it on that end at first and then push it all down. So I'm going to go ahead and do quite a bit more of this for you guys. Alright guys, now we are making this toy in Christmas colors, and it really is as simple as using green and red cardstock, green and white beads. Now you can use this approach for a variety of different holidays. You can make something for Valentine's Day using red, pink, and white. You can make an autumn toy using green, orange, red, and yellow. Halloween can be green, orange, and purple. You know, you can basically dip into different color palettes to create themed toys. Now this accomplishes a couple of things. The first one being you're going to enjoy the toys because you made them specifically for a particular holiday. Anytime we do anything special for our birds that feels special for us as well, you're going to be more likely to do it and you're going to enjoy it. So making these kind of themed toys is excellent. Now you're also going to get an idea of when you put that toy in the bird's enclosure. There's nothing worse than a bird that gets a toy that just sits there for months and months without the bird touching it. In this instance, it's not going to, because you're going to know exactly when you put that toy in. So there's a couple of things you accomplish by doing a themed toy like this. All right, guys, now once you think you've done enough that you have what'll be an adequate toy for your bird, what I'm going to recommend is going ahead and making sure that you end with a bead. Now, the reason we're doing that is because we're going to tie a knot. We want to pull it pretty tight, and if you're pulling against that paper, you may rip it. The bead is a lot more durable, so it is going to have a much better chance of being nice and sturdy. So I'm just going to tie a nice knot, just a basic knot, and then we're going to try to get that as close as possible to that bead. So we're going to do one knot, and then because I like to err on the side of being cautious, some would say overly cautious, but honestly, when you're talking about the well-being of your animal, I don't think you can be overly cautious. You definitely want to make sure that you are doing what is in their best interest. So here I'm going to do a second knot. I just want to make sure that I have that nice and secure. Now, once I have that nice and secure, we can just go ahead, trim off this excess right here, and we have gone ahead and built a very nice shreddable toy for a bird. All right, guys, so you can see without much work, we have put together a very nice shreddable toy for a bird. And as I was working on it, you can see there's a short side where basically everything was laying. But if you just sort of give this a nice little spin, it'll make it a lot more chaotic, a lot more interesting. That's why I was saying it doesn't really matter exactly where you put the hole on that piece of cardstock. As long as it has a good amount of bite, it'll be a great toy for your bird. Now, I did want to show you guys, this is one that I did. This is without the beads separating all of the individual pieces. So this is going to be a lot harder for a bird to get into. And you can also see that it is pulling on that because this is actually twice as much paper as what went into this one. So you can definitely utilize whichever one is appropriate for your bird. But this one is definitely much denser. It's going to be a lot harder for a bird to get into that. And for me, I like the feeling of accomplishment when I make a toy. This was twice as much paper, and this looks like I did a lot more work. So I definitely encourage you guys, if you have birds that like shredding, destroying things, this is a great way to do that, and also to give them something that is themed for the particular holiday or time of year. So I definitely encourage you guys to try that. Now, if you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I am constantly working to put out new tutorials, new informational videos for you guys, and I certainly hope you guys enjoy them. So I do want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time. I do need to say thank you to my Patreon patrons for helping to make these videos possible. You can find out more by visiting Hi Red Bird on Patreon or clicking the link in the description section down below if you would like more information. Thanks!